All right, and we're live here for episode 3 of the Jets Group Chat podcast. I didn't think we'd get this, no pun intended, but I never thought we'd get this jet off the ground here. And here we are.
We back.
Third episode already. Dennis is back. We're just kind of going around here and taking turns of who's going to sit the fuck out. Dennis was trying to log in last week, like doing 75 on the Parkway. He's like, yo, I could log on, but I'm driving.
I got you.
Nah, man.
I'm like, I don't think that's a great idea. The Jets aren't worth your life. So we're glad to have Dennis. For those who don't know, Dennis is a high school baseball coach. So he has to dick our start times for the podcast around his baseball team. Are they even good? Are you guys?
It's like we don't have shit to do, Dennis. Appreciate it, man.
We're decent. We're learning. We have a lot of new players, a lot of youngsters.
A lot of developmental players is what it is. We're a young team.
Yes.
Sounds a lot like the Jets.
Like the
Absolutely. Jets. Oh, and by the way, so the weekly Speak of Fuck You award goes to PJ for not wanting to join. Didn't even didn't give an excuse of why he can't join today. He's like, I'm out. All right, man. Fuck you, bro.
PJ's been pretty absent in the group chat for the last 24 hours. Hasn't been
busy.
The only thing I've really seen from PJ is memes of Dennis being the coach of the team from the movie Hardball.
I did love that.
That's
Keanu Reeves vehicle.
Yeah, it's the Keanu Reeves vehicle for
gamble
sure.
Action.
Oh, and just again, in case anybody's watching, you ever had a really rough day, really tough day at work, and all you want to do is just have a nice, solid, crisp drink? Drink High Noon. It's delicious. It's wonderful. Quenches your thirst and really sets you into a real nice mood. High Noon, if you're listening, I'm still open to talk.
We're ready.
I
did have one of those days yesterday, and I stopped at the bar and I saw your sister-in-law.
At Kelly's?
I told her that we got a little podcast going. She's like, "Oh, I gotta listen."
She ain't gonna listen. She ain't gonna listen.
Yeah,
she ain't gonna listen.
Sounds like a pretty good time to plug. We're like legit as fuck now on Spotify, Apple Pods, and
yes, sir.
Obviously the video version here. You get to see our beautiful mugs on YouTube. So we usually drop that pretty shortly after us recording. So go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. It only helps boosts our standing on those different platforms, makes us a little bit easier to find, and trying to get that money here one day. So
yep, let us know how we're doing. Absolutely.
Do it.
Stepping stone, homie.
Speaking of money, the Jets not spending any of it.
Not spending any of it. Weird.
Yeah, that first wave of free agency, big run. Like we said, we talked about on the last episode, Tomlinson and DJ Reed and Whitehead, and bringing back a ton of in-house talent, spending a lot of money in those first couple of days. But here we are. We've gone through what did it start Monday? So over a week now. We're here now on Tuesday. So 8 days after that first wave, and really there's not even rumblings, it's funny. I think I said out in the chat, remember before pre-Twitter, pre-social media, where everything was out there, somebody farts and it's on Twitter, breaking news the minute it happens is out there now. But remember back in the day, when free agency started, the rumors were always Rex Ryan is going to be at his house at 12:01 a.m. the night of free agency, or Bart Scott is flying in. He's given the Jets first visit. Used to actually get on a plane and visit teams before.
You had to wait, yeah.
Yeah, you'd literally show up at a guy's house and court him, or you'd wait for him to fly to your facility and show him the grand
pitch him.
And literally do a pitch. Now these deals are agreed to a month before free agency starts.
Oh my God, yeah. That's why it's funny. Before tampering was legal, it was that was the window. Now there's pre-tampering, so people are doing that shit as soon as they hit the combine. They're talking. So it's funny to see that just the field goal keeps getting pushed further and further and further. But I mean, it's weird. It's we went from making not a monster splash, but being pretty active, doing a lot, and then silence. JD's doing nothing. It's tough because I feel like it speaks to two things to me. One, I really think he's got a plan. He's got something up his sleeve, but I don't think it's a major trade. People are talking on Twitter, DK, maybe even Danielle Hunter, something he's got something up his sleeve. He's getting ready. I don't think so. I think he's a man with a plan and he's sticking to it. The only thing, like you said, that kind of concerns me a little bit is we haven't touched on edge. We haven't touched on receiver. So, I mean, it's a little bit concerning, time to, start to sound the alarm a little bit, but you got to see it's free agents still, a lot of guys still out there, a lot of things still going on. We got to see what happens next, but if I can do a real quick hot take, what I think, especially I've been thinking a lot about this wide receiver stuff. I think that this lack of going after veteran receivers, going after older receivers, going after hurt receivers with high price tags, I think it's a testament to how they feel about Elijah Moore. I really think so. I think they view him as wide receiver 1. And, they feel that they don't need to go in. They feel like they don't need to go and stockpile all these veterans and then draft 2. I feel like they're happy with their room. They want to add another explosive guy for development, but they view Elijah Moore as wide receiver 1, and they're going to run those sets, which don't, really need, 5 receivers on the field at once. They're going to run 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, and then a single back in the back. I think they're content with that. They're ready for their one playmaker at 10, and then we go from there.
Yeah,
my take. It's my think.
Yeah, I'm sort of on that bandwagon. Like I think they think super highly of Moore. He showed a ton in the 10 or 11 games that he was out there last year.
11, yeah.
The goal, especially, I feel like he got more involved in the second half of the season, like all the young guys did. Like they didn't really feature Carter. They didn't get Carter involved a ton early on.
Mm-hmm.
Worked his way in middle of the year. Same thing with Moore. It felt like once like Mike White kind of came in and they had that little run with Mike White. And then once Wilson got back, they kind of formed that connection where you could tell that chemistry was developing. And at that point, like you just want the ball in his hand, even if it's not as a receiver. Like they'd run gadget plays for him out of the background. They'd run reverses,
jet sweeps. Yep. Everything.
So he's just that guy that you want the ball in his hands because he makes impact plays every time he touches the ball. I'm not a big fan of labels. Like, are you a wide receiver 1? Are you a wide receiver?
It's not the NFL anymore. That's not how it, yeah.
Like,
there's no more XZ, there's still an X, a Z, or Y, tight end, but there's no true, you have a number 1, then your number 2 is a possession guy and your slot guy's fast. Everybody's fast. Everybody's big. Everybody can catch it. It's just, who's going to be the best playmaker for you, who's going to help, the team make plays and score touchdowns. And I think, to be honest, Zach Wilson getting hurt was probably the best thing for him. He got to slow down. He was trying to do too much, too fast, all on his own, putting a lot on his shoulders because, he wanted to be, a game changer. It came at him too much. He's forcing throws. People weren't getting open. He was forcing things. So I feel like him sitting back, look what happened in the season. He started to, take what the defense gave him. Look at what was it? Jordan Whitehead said all those things about him in that throw that he's still thinking about. Exactly. They're talking about, he's like, this kid's got it. He's got it. He just has to learn. He's got to develop. And I think he came on the second part of last year. And I think he's going to have a monster second season. He's got that continuity. With some of the receivers, new tight ends, but a lot of same people in the rooms, quarterback room, running back room. So I think I think we're in for some good things year 2 from Zach Wilson.
Yeah. And I think you go back to the whole Moore thing and creating labels. Like, is he a 1? Is he a 2? Is he thing that drives me fucking nuts is Elijah Moore's the slot guy. No,
he's not. Why? Because he's small.
Elijah Moore is a smaller guy inside, but he's not strictly a slot guy. If you actually watch film, and I don't claim to be this crazy NFL film guru where I sit here and watch game tape and all that stuff. I couldn't be further from that, but I think just in the basic sense, if you watch the scheme that the Jets run and the routes that they have him run, he's not a slot guy. They don't. And granted, Crowder was there last year, so Crowder was the slot guy, and he's gone now. I mean, I think everybody needs to be a slot guy. Everybody needs to play outside, like you kind of said, Speaker. The game's evolved. X, Y, whatever the fuck you are on the play sheet, it doesn't really play out that way on the field. You might line up somewhere, but your route's not going to dictate that. And I think you brought up a good point when we were talking before we went live here, but I think this year is going to be super interesting. And I don't think I think it matters even less this year in this LaFleur system with the 2 tight ends now that they brought in and Conklin and Uzoma. They're going to have 2 tight ends on the field a lot. So I don't think you're going to see 3 wide receivers as often as you might have seen last year when you had Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Crowder or
Keenan
Cole, yeah, any of those guys, you're going to have more sets where you have 2 tight ends, and make it more opportune for like Wilson to have that check down option out there when you have.
Offense should be a lot better.
I think so. I think it's going to that offense is going to take a huge step next year. I really think so.
Draft coming up, we're going to use some of those at the draft. I assume, at least in one of those first 2 picks.
Oh, real quick, big shout out to CJ Uzma for not dating Kay Adams. I mean, it's my heart dropped for like half a day on Twitter. They're not, bro. He confirmed he's not dating her. He's got another girl, and she's actually pissed these rumors came out. Bro, I wouldn't even log on Twitter when I found that out, when I was watching the whole thing.
It's a girl right there.
Speak of silenced all group chat notifications when that.
Absolutely. Kay Adams is my girl.
Yeah. Well,
I tweeted her. She tweets back. I will say that. But, it hurt me a little bit to think that she was locked up.
I think I missed a portion right there. I wanted to, before I left for a second, I wanted to push in that I want to say that Tomlinson is probably my favorite pickup of the offseason.
Ooh. Tell us more.
What's up?
Tell us more.
I'm intrigued.
Because he's the lineman. We need the lineman. That's how we get good. When we had Mangold, we drafted Mangold and Brickashaw that year, like that kind of set the tone. And now we have pretty much a good line intact. Just the center is possibly needed. If not, I think it's very serviceable, a lot better than previous years.
Let me ask you something, Dennis. Now that Tomlinson's here, and this will kind of segue into us to next going into the draft now. I mean, you see all these mock drafts keep evolving. Like as every trade happens in the league and all these teams in the top 10 are moving quarterbacks or getting quarterbacks or moving other guys around. It's really hard to predict where the chips are going to fall when assuming we stay at 4. Mm-hmm. If one of those linemen are there, like, are you into that still? Like, are you into Neal or Okonwu, or are you off that boat at this point? Like, does the Tomlinson signing take you out of that running?
Yes, because I don't know where we're going to put them. We
got to.
We have Fant and Becton.
Do you feel good? Do you feel confident in Becton moving forward?
Yes, 100%.
I guess that's the key to the whole thing. Whether we feel good about him or not is a different story than does Joe Douglas feel good about him.
A lot of people are down on him. Like I said, I don't know why. He had a pretty good rookie year. Went into the offseason, got beat by Carl Lawson a little bit. Like, who doesn't? And then had a little rough preseason. Did decent in the regular season until he got hurt, and that was it. Like, now that he got hurt, he's too fat. He's too this. I think he's ready to go, especially after I seen that picture yesterday. He looks a little more slimmer, thicker, more mobile. I think he should be ready to rock.
This year is going to be big for him. This is going to be a big telling year for not only him, but for his future with the Jets. He's got a lot of criticism on him right now. He's got a lot of eyeballs on the fans, from his other players. I mean, I'm assuming from the locker room, Joe Douglas, everybody. He's got to play with a chip on his shoulder. He's got to come back raring to go and fucking demolish people. Put people in body bags all year long. Shut everybody up. I'm left. Hey, you don't want to crown me left tackle? All right, I'm gonna go take it. You're 6'7". You're a mountain. Go take it from anybody who's in front of you. Yep, I think he got, he had a rough preseason last year, as Dennis said. I think he got, I don't want to say a little Hollywood, but I feel like, he got a little lapse. He's a new pro. Living the New York limelight. He got a little overweight, and again, Lawson was pushing him around, got a little top heavy, got hurt, and then again, when you're 400 pounds and you're not moving around because of leg injuries, what are you going to do? You're just going to sit around and chill and you gain more weight. It happens, but it's going to be telling, not how he fell, but how he gets back up. And I think he's going to come back and he's going to reclaim that left tackle spot, and I think he's going to be perennial all pro. I think this year, for real.
Talking about Lawson. So now that you said the 4th pick, will we use that 4th pick to give him a opposite bookend on the defensive line?
Got to be edge. You've got.
I have to go edge at 4.
I don't care who it is. I don't care if like KT and Hutch give up their pick. Reach for was it Jermaine Johnson or Trayvon Walker? Yeah. You have to. You got to reach for one now.
I'm still seeing trade back a little bit.
You could, but we talked about the board is gonna fall how it falls, but like the value's shit there. Unless somebody needs a quarterback, and I know Carlos, you're gonna jump into that one because I know we've been talking about that extensively.
They will.
Unless it's for a quarterback, I mean, like, is somebody gonna trade it for Kyle Hamilton? You know, is somebody gonna trade up for Sauce? I don't think so. Maybe, but I mean,
I think the only trade to be had is for a
Malik
quarterback.
Willis, they're coming to get him by some point.
Right. I think that kind of is my segue into my next kind of conversation here. Is today was Willis's pro day, and obviously the kid put on a show. He's the talk of the NFL right now. Made some big throws. Everybody keeps comparing it to that crazy Wilson opposite off platform throw that he had at his pro day last year. They keep kind of side by side capturing those two throws between Wilson and Willis from his pro day today. But obviously momentum's trending upward for him, and the stock is rising. And I think I'll pat myself on the back a little bit for this, but I do remember in the first episode I said don't be surprised if like Detroit fucks around and goes Willis at 2. And
I wouldn't be surprised, man.
It seems like today after that pro day, like that's a possibility. Like,
you know, the closer and closer the draft gets, like the more and more the quarterback moves up.
Right. And especially after he puts on at the pro day, like he had the combine, did really well at the combine. Like, but like before the combine, like a lot of people thought Pickett was the number 1 quarterback in the draft.
Oh, that
combine happened. Then Willis became higher than Pickett in the eyes of pretty much anybody that I've read up on. They've all put Willis ahead of Pickett at this point. But it seems like now today after the pro day, like not only is he the top quarterback ahead of Pickett, but like this guy like probably going to go top 5, like should go top 5, could go top 5, depending on maneuvering trades. And
it's a quarterback league. Someone's always going to go up to take one. It happens every year.
Obviously,
you know?
Obviously Jacksonville's not going quarterback after taking Lawrence. We know that. But I think it becomes interesting if you love Willis, you were at his pro day today and you just got a chubby and that's your guy now. You think Detroit you think Detroit's going to take him at 2. Maybe you got to move up to 1 now to get him. So like maybe that's a sweet spot for Jacksonville to go out. If you have good intel that Detroit's not going to go Willis at 2, they're set on one of the linemen, or they're set on Hutchinson if he's there. Then it becomes a prime spot for either. I think if you're going to move up to get Willis, I don't know that Houston's looking to go quarterback, although they might. But it seems like they're pretty happy with name escapes me. Kid,
Davis Mills.
Davis Mills.
But do you buy that though? I mean, like, yeah, he played well at the end of the season, but like they got a whole new regime right now.
I heard a hot take on that yesterday. They were like, if Davis Mills was drafted in the first round, everybody would be highly on him right now. But since he was like a 5th round pick or some,
that's a good point.
Like everybody's a little like, maybe he's. Okay.
I mean, you can make a really strong case that he played better than any other rookie quarterback.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah,
he was better than Wilson. He was better than Fields. He was better than Lawrence.
He was more consistent. Played well. Took a really shitty team who pretty much was dismantled.
I mean, that also comes with having 0 expectations in a no-win situation. I mean. Apples aren't always apples, so you have to account for where he was playing and what they were asking him to do.
Yep.
But are they happy with him? I don't know. Like, I'm not Adam Schefter. I'm not there in Houston camp. I don't know if they're happy with him or not, but I think there's a chance that they're not into taking Willis there. So I think your next logical place for Willis to fall now is 6. And so if you're confident,
9s.
If you're
they got 2 picks, 5 and 7. I mean,
if Seattle had that 10th pick, maybe they'd use it.
Ooh, they got 9 now, though.
But that's where I bring this scenario up to you guys. If Carolina's sitting there at 6, I feel pretty good that that's the spot for Willis. Like, I think 6, we're barring a trade. If he doesn't go at 2,
just at a top 5. Yep. I agree with that.
If he does not go at 2 and there are no trades up, if Houston's not moving out, if the Jets aren't moving out, all things just stay the same. I think the earliest he goes is 6 to Carolina. But say you think that he's going 6 to Carolina and you want to jump up to get him, the Jets or the Giants now become that sweet spot to trade up to. You
Five
either
or
want,
four.
you want to get up, and again, that's a great point by you, Spiga. Maybe you're petrified the Giants might take him. Maybe the Giants are into the quarterback thing.
Smoke screen season, baby. No one knows what anybody's doing right now.
Right. So I don't think it'd be the craziest thing. I mean, the Giants aren't going to pick up his 5th-year option on Jones, so they're pretty much going with a 1-year, play it by ear and see how he does in this system with a new head coach. But of course, they could always franchise tag him next year if he has a good year. But of course, he's going to go in as a lame duck 1 year, and he's going to hit the market. So maybe the Giants like Willis and they want to bring him in. So your sweet spot to get Willis now is going to be 4 at the Jets, and I'm fucking in on that. Like I'm all in.
I'll trade back.
It gets a little tough if
Still a bunch of people we could take. Like my heart isn't set on any sole one person. So if you want to back up 2-3 picks, I'm cool with that.
which I would love. I would love if Atlanta, like, let's say I raised this hypothetical in the group chat last night to you guys, and you guys seem to be into it. But Atlanta's at 8 now, right? I think Atlanta's 8,
Yep.
Seattle's 9, we're 10.
Mhm.
So Atlanta's sitting there at 8 now. Matt Ryan's gone. Mariota's there on a 2-year deal. It's a de facto 1-year deal. They could get out of that after the first year. So you're at 8. You want Willis. You love him. Went to his pro day. You're at the
He's from Atlanta too.
He's from Atlanta, hometown kid. You're like, this is my dude. Like, I need to go get him. You think he's going at 6. You got to move up to 4 or 5 to get him. So I wouldn't mind going down the 4 spots and swapping 4 with 8. And then
Pick up an extra second, probably maybe a first next year.
either a first or another second next year. Kind of do that.
Yeah.
The same trade that we kind of did with the Colts when we traded up for Darnold.
For Darnold.
I think
Yeah.
we went from 6 to 3. So we swapped 1s and we gave them 2 2s and went up the 3 spots. So I think that trade's got to be somewhat of a barometer. 2
Is that where
2s.
they took the lineman?
Quentin Nelson, yeah.
Quentin Nelson, and that worked out.
Yeah. So
It's
I wouldn't be opposed to going down the 4 spots, and they pick 43rd in the second round of this draft, and then you'd obviously pick up their 2 next year. So at that point, if you were to pull off a trade like that, hypothetically, you'd have pick 8, pick 10, pick 35, pick 38, and pick 43. So you'd have 5 picks.
I do it.
Yeah, I think I'd
Have
do
to.
that.
You have to, and then but then you got to, again, whoever you're taking at 8 and 10, they both got to hit, regardless. I mean,
But you could still get what you want to get out of
Yeah.
the draft. Like pick 8, like we're talking about. You just talked about it, like potentially reaching for a pass rusher. Like
yeah,
like if you're gonna reach for Jermaine Johnson or you're gonna reach for Walker out of Georgia at 4, there's a good chance both of those guys are still there at 8. One of those guys is still gonna be there at 8.
no, yeah. Looking at the needs of everybody else in between, probably more than likely that meat of the draft. To be honest with you, 5 on, there's so much that can happen, and that could push great players down the board.
Right, and
So-
that's without going into Kyle Hamilton and Sauce Gardner and
All the tackles that are out there.
Stingley, right? I mean,
Mhm.
some good players are going to fall, and we haven't even gotten into the wide receiver conversation yet. So you move down to 8, you get your rusher there, whoever's left, and then you're still sitting there at 10, and you get the pick of the litter in terms of wide receiver, which I think we all agree heading into this offseason, the biggest needs were probably rush and another. If you were going to like mold the position, I'd say a big bodied wide receiver is really what they need.
Mhm.
So at that point, are we going Drake London or Burks?
If we
Or-
get Sauce and a wide receiver, I'll be hanging out on the beach like this.
Football style.
Is that Revis Island?
That's Revis Island. Coming.
I'm getting softer on the receiver front than I am on the edge front. I think edge has got to be priority number 1, if not 1 and 2. Like, I know we talk like the hope is KT or Hutch falls to 4 and you take 1. I think KT is truly going to be a monster, and I'm calling right now. He's going to be this year's Micah Parsons. Everything seems exactly similar to what they said. Low motor, doesn't have great instincts, all this kind of bullshit. And then he's going to come out and win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's going to light it up wherever the fuck he goes. I think he would feast in the AFC East, to be honest with you.
Half of Micah Parsons, I'll be happy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like
I'll take friend of the pod, Mickey Parsons.
I'll take them all, bro. I'll definitely take them. But it's just
for Kelly's run first.
Yeah, he's probably there. Get him out of there. Get him have him make weight. But I think that edge has been just drastically ignored. And unless something happens in free agency, unless they pull off a trade for Hunter, unless they pull off a trade for somebody else, or that's really it. I mean, there's really no other big edge guys that are out there. Chandler Jones is gone. I think edge has got to be 4. I can't even say it's got to be 4 or 10. I think it's got to be 4. No matter what, you got to take one. And then 10, you look to see if you could trade back anywhere of those 2 picks and, accumulate picks to fill out the roster. Because you think right now, if the season started today, you're still missing a free safety. You're still missing another D lineman. You could use another linebacker, maybe another corner, a receiver. Line, I think you're okay. Another receiver. So, but those perennial positions, we got to get somebody. We got to get some bodies in there. And that's why, going into the receivers, Drake London's coming up there. I love Garrett Wilson, but bigger body, catch a radius. Drake London, fits that mold, and I think he could be something, especially in an offense where he can kind of learn under Corey Davis. Let Elijah Moore take a lot of those 110 targets and just go from there. But I think 4 has got to be edge regardless. Period.
I like as a wide receiver, just like watching him in college because he's very electric. Chris Olave. I really don't know how he'll translate into the NFL. I don't know if I want him matched with.
Everybody was begging for him last year,
but he's pretty fast. He gets open. He runs that 9 route really well.
Yeah, I can't really settle on who I want at 10. I think early on I was into Wilson out of Ohio State just because I self-admittedly I don't watch a ton of college football, so I really don't start to get into this until the NFL season ends and then mock draft season starts. And then that's when I start looking into oh, who the fuck is this guy that every mock has the Jets taking at 10? And it seems like the kid Wilson out of Ohio State is the prototypical slot guy. I know we talked about Moore. He's not just a slot guy, but it seems like Wilson's a slot guy. He looks the part of the slot guy. He plays the part of the slot guy. And I don't know. Maybe he does, but does he play outside all that much? Is he effective outside? Does he outside all that often?
He's also 6 foot, 195. He could play outside.
But I think when you have guys, and we're essentially running back the same offense with the exception of the 2 tight ends. The wide receiver core is the exact same or less. Crowder's gone. Keelan Cole's unsigned. Good chance he's not back.
I would take a flyer on him, get him back in here, get another body. He was good down the stretch.
Yeah, and he's a good locker room guy. Seemed like everybody, especially the young guys, and seemed to gravitate towards Cole. I think he'd be a good guy to bring back for depth. But to me, it seems like you need another dimension that you don't really have right now, which is a big body, which is where I think Drake London enters the chat. I don't know if it's just me and it could be a paranoia thing, but USC players scare the shit out of me.
I don't trust USC receivers.
And we've taken 3 of them in the first round in the last decade, and none of them have panned out. Granted, we took Sanchez, we took Darnold, who we thought was the second coming of Christ.
Hey, we just got one last year.
And then we took Leonard Williams, who was the best player in the draft. Obviously, Vera Tucker looks like he's going to pan out and obviously has all the tools to be a Pro Bowler. So I actually forgot about Vera Tucker. That's a good call, Dan. But yeah, we've taken 4 USC players in the last 12
Leonard
years
Williams
in the first.
Supposed to be the best player in the entire draft.
And he's turned out to be an okay player, but what is he making? What does he make? $26 million or $25 million a year, some crazy shit like that the Giants are paying him. He's not worth the contract.
No, not at all.
$4 million a sack.
Yeah, I think he's a serviceable player. If you could have him on your team, you take him, but he's not worth his market value. That's for sure.
No,
I think the Jets would say Leonard Williams was a fine Jet. He wasn't bad, but I don't think he was ever the player we thought we were getting.
No,
we took him at 6, right? Same spot where we took Adam.
6. Yeah, he never really panned out to what his potential was supposed to be. He was supposed to be generational, that fucking word they get thrown around.
Right. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm always like skeptical of USC, particularly on the offensive end. Like,
I'm saying with Rutgers players.
USC, yeah. I mean, that's worked out pretty well for the fucking Patriots.
I'll take Bo Melton. They had his pro day today. That receiver. I think he'd be a nice, fine special teams piece.
Get that high noon down.
Oh, it's delicious. Just quenches your thirst whenever you need it.
What flavor are we rocking with tonight?
That was a pineapple, and now I'm going over to.
I'm a big pineapple and watermelon.
So are you a high nooner as well?
I like high noon. I don't
Shout out Nooners, bro.
I don't normally keep it in rotation till the summer. I'm more of a seltzer guy.
My go-to
wintertime.
Well, the fact that I live in all around summer down in sunny Southwest Florida, so I need to keep it on deck on the reg.
Yeah,
but
that's down there for a game.
Well, I'm telling you, let's do let's hit up the Miami game.
Yeah,
Miami down here. Let's do it. I'm like an hour away.
Dennis, we ever gonna get you onto the season ticket bandwagon or?
That's tough. Softball Sundays are tough.
Give it up, man. What are you, 30, 31 now? Give it up.
Bro, we're retired, Den. Let's just give in. We're retired now, man.
I love it. I get up. It gets me going on Sunday morning. Gets me ready for football.
I can't imagine you waking up on a Sunday morning to do anything.
That's true.
Do it when I was 21. I used to do it when I was 21 and pick up Nick, Al, and Mark every morning at 8:00 in the morning.
You're wild.
I can't picture that.
Do you remember though when I obviously now once you hit that 30-year-old threshold, shit changes. Remember we used to go to those games like fucked up and we used to play baseball and like it's like we were still good. And you're like, oh, how you do it now? I'm like, if I stepped on, I'm like, nope, turn right around. I'm like, I'm out.
You go in the outfield, the long toss, 2 throws in. You're like,
shit, shoulder, bro.
I drove a little bit when I went to Milwaukee last year. I drove home the day before I had a championship game, so I drove home and I didn't drink any water the whole way home. And it's like a 13-hour trip, and I pretty much almost tore my calf muscle in the second game.
Yeah, you're wild.
Did you come back from your trip solely because you had a softball game?
Yes.
Yes. You are fucking.
I got to watch a Brewers game where they won in the bottom of the 10th on a walk-off single by Rowdy Tellez, and then we left the next morning.
And made it back for the softball game. Did you guys win?
No.
First game. The second game I got hurt and we lost on that play because I couldn't go get the ball. And then the third game we lost on the last at bat.
I should have just stayed.
As I sat there and watched.
Yeah, you should have stayed in Milwaukee, my man.
Yeah, I should have stayed there.
They probably would have won if you stayed in Milwaukee.
Oh, there's a possibility, I guess, because I went down
Fucking Dennis.
a bag of bricks.
Ruined everything.
I just have to, while we're like off topic for a minute. If you guys don't know Dennis is the most like chill, nonchalant guy like ever. Like unassuming, doesn't bother anybody. What was this now, Dennis? You know where I'm going with this story.
Yes.
Like 10 years ago, maybe? We all hit up.
Night.
It was a Thursday. It was a night game. I didn't know if it was Monday night or Thursday night.
Was it the Texans?
Yes. We all a group of us from Carteret all like pack into 2 or 3 cars and we go to MetLife for this Thursday night game. I think you're right. I think it was against Houston. And so we're like, we just picked up tickets. I mean, the Jets always suck. I think it was a November game or an October game. So a
$17 game.
Yeah, it was a $17 ticket. Like we're all sitting up in heaven under the lights. And but we're like scattered about, like me and Mike Mal are in one section or something. Tony Dominguez is there. Yeah. Bianca and Abe, I think, are there. Like we're like 15 deep or 20 deep, but like everybody in Carteret's at this game. We did a big tailgate. We went in, we're all hammered or whatever. So I think Jets won, if I remember, amazingly enough. And I think we're all about to head out. And I get it.
This is during the game.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Like
third quarter.
The third quarter.
Yeah. Dennis, like we all get a text from Dennis, like getting kicked out of the game.
Sounds about right.
I'm with security or something. This is ridiculous. They're throwing me out for farting on the face.
What?
And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, the guy behind me says I keep farting on him. and they were like kicking him out, but it was Bandoni that was ripping ass.
Nick was farting, and I got kicked out of the game for
And
it. They brought
Dennis
me to
got
Jets
Dennis
jail.
got kicked out. They brought him to the jail.
You went to the Jets jail,
For
bro?
They didn't put me in, but they were talking to me, and they were like asking me what was going on. And I'm explaining it to them, and they're like, "Oh, you seem like a nice guy. Like you seem like you didn't do anything like that." And I'm like, "No, like why would I do that?" And they were like, "Where are your friends at?" I'm like, "They're up by the other guy." So they're like, "Let's go get them. We're gonna move you down to the first level." I'm like, "Oh, nice."
So I got like
So,
a
like,
seat
call-
upgrade for
Bro, you got
going
an
to jail.
up. You got an upgrade for farting on somebody.
Upgrade.
All right.
What do
They
you
were
mean?
like, "Yeah, you're a nice guy." Da, da, da. And I'm like, "Yeah," just talking to them, and they were just like, "All right," brought us down to the first level, the corner of the end zone. It was great.
And so when this inevitably goes live on YouTube, I'm gonna obviously throw a graphic of the screenshot of the text message
That would be funny.
that I got from that night. But it just like imagine picking up your phone. This is ridiculous. I'm getting tossed out for farting on the face. That was the exact text message. That
Jets gonna jet, bro.
Yeah.
thought
How it
you
is.
said Jets jail.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
You still have that? Oh, you still have that text message. I remember that.
Yeah, I have it somewhere on one of my old posts on Instagram or something. I'll find it. I'll pull it up for you guys. But yeah, what are we now? We're little
Real quick, before we go down that other rabbit hole, I just want to say one thing, say my piece. Why haven't the Mets signed Mike Conforto? Why is he still? Why do they have no interest in signing him? We need a right field bat. What's happening?
Sending him to Milwaukee.
I mean,
so-
no.
Nah, chill.
Doesn't seem like anybody has interest in signing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what the hell's happening? And I love Conforto. He's my favorite Met.
He was terrible last
But-
year.
But it was last year.
He was bad. Who knows what he's asking for?
I don't know.
He's a Scott Boris guy.
No, that's why. Fuck that. Never mind. Anyway, back to the Jets. I'm gonna go. Drake London just scares me with no separation. That's the biggest knock on him, and that's always a thing that kind of straddles into the NFL. When you can't get separation against college kids, against slapdick Pac-10 school, Pac-12, whatever the hell it is now,
Right.
Pac-12 schools. Like, what's gonna happen when you go up against these like legit corners who are just gonna cover you like sauce? Like.
read in practice.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like, if that's something like separation, when that's a concern in college, it's only going to get worse in the pros. And that's one thing like that. It's just that and USC receivers. I know it's like a stupid narrative, but like, I don't know. I pass. And then Mel Kiper's got us taking him at 4 and then Sauce at 10. He must be drinking the sauce if he thinks we're taking fucking Drake London at 4.
What's good with Dwayne Jarrett?
Ooh,
Bro.
there we go.
USC
Yeah, right.
legend.
Want
He's
to find him somewhere.
I tackled him freshman year. I mean, he like tripped over me, but it counted as a tackle. So I'll take it.
Is that when you wore the purple and gold?
I was at Monroe. Yeah, he beat the shit out of us when we were in Monroe. I think it was like 50 something to. I don't even think we scored a touchdown. We might have, but dude, it was literally just like 3-step drop, fade, open. He would like jump over people and just score. It was like, all right, what are we doing here? But enough of that.
Isn't he like? I didn't have fucking Dwayne Jarrett chat on my bingo card tonight either, but
No,
isn't that just like the prototypical like you don't know like you watch Dwayne Jarrett in college, like that dude was the best receiver in the country when he was at
He
USC.
broke
Like
all the Pac-12 records.
bodying people, like Moss,
he broke all Keyshawn's records.
like that dude didn't do a goddamn thing in the NFL. But like
Oh.
you watch like, and that's the thing. Like I don't watch a ton of college football. Like I'm a baseball writer. Like I can watch baseball. Like I could like watch a prospect for like 2 weeks and like kind of get a feel if he's going to be good or bad and like have my opinion. It doesn't always work out, but like I watch college football and I'm like, I don't know if this guy's good or not because they're all good. Like everybody's good in college. I don't know how you figure out whether they're going to be good in the NFL or not. I think it's thinking like baseball, basketball, like, when a guy's a stud in college, like it's translating to the MLB or it's translating to the NBA, but like football, like guys win the Heisman Trophy. It's like the most prestigious fucking thing they give out. And then,
Terrible.
like Charlie Ward won the Heisman Trophy and he was playing for the fucking Knicks 2 years later.
Chris Wanky.
Yeah, guy won.
Chris
the
Winkie was like 40 years old though in college.
72 collecting Social Security checks.
It's kind of when I started watching college football when Chris Wanky was on Florida State.
Yes, but like, how do you decipher? I don't know. Like, I'm not. I guess that's why scouts and evaluators and all these general managers, they get paid a shit ton of money to figure that out. But again, like Sam Darnold.
I would have bet my life that we would have hit on that one. I thought we dodged the bullet by not getting, by the Browns passing on him, but that worked out well.
And the Giants passing on him. But it would have worked out the opposite. If Darnold would have went 2 to the Giants, Darnold's like a Hall of Famer.
Probably. And if Baker went to us, he would have been out in 2 years. I'm a big Baker's my guy.
Where's he going?
I don't know. I just read a thing on Twitter. It's like the Panthers and Baker Mayfield have mutual disinterest in each other.
My dad wants him in San Fran.
No way. They can't get rid of Jimmy G.
The problem is they're late to the game. I mean, like they decided to, not decided. They got Watson after everybody else was settled. After the Washington got their guy,
Washington screwed the pooch on their
they're going to take a quarterback. Yeah, they backed themselves into a corner. I think they're kicking themselves now. Wentz is not bad, but he's not good either.
He's not worth what they gave up for him, and he makes a shit ton of money. And they could have I would have rather traded a 3 for Matt Ryan. I'd rather have Matt Ryan than Carson Wentz. And the draft capital was less. Granted, you're paying him more for the next 2 years, but
I don't think Matt Ryan would suck though in Washington because he's not a good outdoor quarterback. Period.
It's fair.
He's he plays in the dome.
From Boston College.
Yeah, but I mean, anytime. I don't know. Going back to my betting knowledge, anytime he was on the road, anytime he was outside, I bet against him or bet the under, and I did pretty well.
I think I read today though that he had a no trade clause with Atlanta, and he was only willing to waive it to go to Indianapolis. From what I read today,
could be. Who knows?
I think he only had interest in going to Indianapolis. I mean, Indianapolis is made to win. They have a lot of good talent there. Their defense is good. They have Jonathan Taylor.
Serviceable quarterback there in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, Wentz almost took them to the playoffs a year ago. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
Wentz was terrible, and they only missed the playoffs by a game. So you give them 2 or 3 extra wins out of the quarterback position, that's an interesting team. But obviously, story for another day. But all right, as we kind of inch closer here to the draft, what are we a little bit over a month now? April 28th, I think, is the draft. We're at March. Yeah, so just about almost a month. And this is going to obviously evolve every week, and I'm going to ask the question every week. But right now, we stay at 4. I'm not going to go into 10, but we stay at 4. Dennis, who are we taking at 4 right now?
Thibodeau.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I still think KT goes before us. I mean, I think this is all smokescreen. I think he's, someone's going to take a flyer on him one way or another. But I mean, I want KT, if not edge. I don't care who it is. It's got to be an edge guy at 4.
So you want to reach at 4 if Thibodeau's gone. Thibodeau and Hutchinson are gone. You're going
Walker? Yeah, but at this point, I don't know if there are even reaches anymore. I mean, they're lighting it up. They lit it up at their, at the Senior Bowl. And Saleh and Joe Douglas had a bird's eye view locked into Jermaine Johnson for a full week. And I think that holds a lot more weight than any of these pro days ever will. I think they know what he is. And I think, we might be looking at it oh, they reached as this. And then it'll come out that they wanted him all along. They had him higher in the draft board than KT or just as high as Hutchinson. But I think it's got to be edge, one of those 4, whether it's Walker, Hutch, KT, or Johnson. You got to get one. It's a big glaring need. It's been a big glaring need for the longest time. We don't know what Lawson's going to be when he comes back. Hopefully he's good, but you got to solidify that D line. Then that defense will take off because it takes a lot of pressure off the corners. It takes a lot of pressure. You can mask some of those inconsistencies at safety, whatever it is. Starts at the D line, starts in the trenches. And I don't think they need O line anymore. It's got to be D line. Period. Give me edge.
What about you, Mr. Cardos?
Yeah, I agree. I think they have to go edge. I think edge is the most glaring need on the entire roster. I mean, they still have a ton of holes, and there's no getting around that. They're obviously much improved from where they were when they ended the season, but like we talked about, they haven't really upgraded the wide receiver core. It's still the same Les Crowder, and they need a rush though. I know a lot of people want to talk about corner, but they added Reed, and I think they think the world of Bryce and Eccles. So I think the way that Saleh plays his defense is The corners just have to be okay. Like
Yep.
they have their assignment, but they'll show out better if there's a pass rush. If there's no pass rush, they're exposed.
They're exposed.
If you're just an okay corner, you're going to get exposed. But if there's a pass rush and you could get to the like, I said this I think last week or the first pod, but like I think the Jets' entire game plan and like roster construction needs to be like with the idea of Josh Allen being your division. Like that has to be your like number one concern is like how do I beat Josh Allen twice a year? And I think the way you beat Josh Allen is putting him on his ass.
Yeah,
because he's going to get his yards. He's going to connect with Diggs. You're not going to shut down Diggs. Like he's going to get his yards. You might hold him to 5 catches for 72, but like Diggs and Allen are going to do what they're going to do. Like I don't care who's out there. You could draft Sauce Gardner. Diggs is still going to get his yards. He's still going to get his touches.
There's going to be so much time for him to get open.
Right.
Exactly.
But if you can get to Allen and disrupt the timing and just keep him flustered, I think you have a shot. Like you're in every game that you play him if you can get to him. And we saw that for years when in those Rex Ryan years, like we didn't have premier pass rushers. We had a lot of Jason Taylor and Trevor Price and Sean Ellis.
Calvin Price.
Calvin Pace.
Calvin Pace.
Yeah, right. So like vet guys like that like are good for, I don't need 15 sacks a year, but if I have 5 guys that give me 6 sacks each or 5 sacks each,
I'll take that all day.
That's 30 sacks. So it feels like in the last decade we beat. I'm talking when the Patriots had Brady, but it felt like we beat the Patriots like once in the last 10 years. But like when Rex was there, it felt like we split with the Patriots almost every year. Like it felt like
even playing field. It felt like.
Yeah, and I watched a Brady doc not that long ago. Actually, when he was on the Manning cast this past year, they were asking Brady about just his career and the defenses that he's faced. And he said the Rex Ryan defenses were the most challenging that he ever faced because of the rush and how they disguised the rush. And that was a recipe success for the Jets. So I think they have to get back to that. Right. If you look at the personnel that Saleh ran in San Francisco, it's all pass rush. It's all premium first round picks that were all pass rushers. And so I think he wants to get back to that. And I think if he has the opportunity to add, I don't know, man. Like I go back and forth. Like I was all about Thibodeau, and now I'm kind of buying into the smoke of like, oh, maybe he's not the guy. Maybe the motor's bad. Whatever. I'm kind of like you said, like I don't know if any of them are reaches anymore. Like, would it surprise? Like,
it's premier position. You know, it's
Vernon Gholston.
That and I think that's my fear is like whatever one the Jets take, they're gonna be Vernon Gholston. But I think that's just like the natural reaction of being a Jet fan because we've been let down. So Quentin Coples, Vernon Gholston, Mo Wilkerson, just like Leonard Williams, whatever pass rusher you take. Like we haven't had one since John Abraham, and we let that dude walk.
To go to Atlanta.
Mo Wilkerson, the same spot you find what's his name from USC? Dwayne Jarrett. Probably hanging the same spot on Route 1 somewhere.
Probably down at party in Linden. Meet halfway.
They're at Linden.
Carteret. Meet halfway in Carteret.
They're at Linden Lanes.
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like, and then what's going to happen? Knowing the Jets, watch them make some type of drastic trade and trade Becton for an edge, or like they'll do something crazy that'll like, all right, back to the drawing board. Now, what do we think is going to happen?
Or do we pick up like we're talking about the last 2 days? I mean, we haven't really said pick him up, but he's out there. Danielle Hunter.
So it makes it tough because Carlos said before, it makes it tough because he just got locked into like a guaranteed $14 million roster bonus 2 days ago.
Yeah, they just guaranteed his roster. So I think if they were going to move him, they would have done it on Saturday.
I thought he was a free agent. Why did I think he was a free agent?
No, he's got like 3 or 4 years left on his deal.
Yeah, he's got a while left on his deal, but he just had a roster bonus that was due Saturday. And that's when everybody was watching Saturday. They were like, oh, well, watch out for Hunter because they haven't picked it up yet. And today's the deadline. So I was like, oh, maybe this is what Douglas had up his sleeve, was like swinging a trade for Hunter. But obviously they picked that option up. So I don't think they planned on moving him. Maybe they do. I mean, because they did just sign Zadarius today. So maybe they don't want to invest that much money.
Who signed Zadarius?
The Vikings.
Vikings.
Oh, I missed that. When I was at practice, I missed that one.
Yeah, man. You were calling your boys Big Papa out there on the field and missed the sign.
Hey.
We did
Where's-
we lost by 1. We did a scrimmage. We lost by 1.
It's all right. It's just setting the bar for the season, man.
That's it.
And where's looking at it here, like now looking at it from the numbers from the analytics side, like they got 30 million left. You got to have what, like just under 20 for the draft, right?
Yeah,
15?
I think they have like 15 or 16 million in cap, but like we talked about last week, apparently like it's easy enough for them to restructure Mosley.
You could, if
I've
needed.
I've heard they could open up like 10 million in restructuring Mosley. They could open up another 3 or 4 by cutting Ryan Griffin, which is inevitably going to happen.
And I'm can't believe they haven't cut Van Rotten yet either.
And they could save another 3 or 4 million by cutting Van Rotten. So I mean that right there is 20 million more they could open if they had to.
Yeah.
But of course they structured all the contracts that they've signed these new guys to, where all the money's backloaded. So like their base salaries this year are all pretty low, which like that's been the talk of Jets Twitter, and like Connor Hughes is pointing that out, and a couple other guys. Like it's like
Looking for it now.
it's weird that he structured the deals this way to give him maximum flexibility this year, which like would make you believe like, does he have something up his sleeve? Like, does he have another big contract that like we're not talking about or don't really see coming that he's kind of making room for under the cap as presently constructed? I mean, you'd have to have a fucking crystal ball to know what's going on in Joe Douglas's mind, but I think it's just something to like keep an eye on. Like every day, like things get quieter and quieter, and I'm just like, oh, the Jets are done. They're just gonna wait for the draft. Maybe they sign a veteran corner or a veteran linebacker to a cheap deal, or they bring back Keelan Cole, some bullshit like that, but small dollar move. But like, I'm just waiting one day to like for my notifications to blow up that like Joe Douglas pulled off some crazy trade.
Every time the group chat goes off, man, I have to answer it right away. You never know.
Right. Usually it's usually it's who signed with other teams that aren't the Jets.
Mario to Atlanta or like all these other ones. And then
Yeah.
Devontae Adams to the Raiders. Bro, that's a move and a half.
That was an amazing move. That was a St. Patrick's night too.
We don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but that shit was crazy.
Oh, Dennis, you were at Club K, right? With what's his name, right?
Ricardo,
he's a big Packers fan, right?
Packers fan. He was
Was
not
he
Yeah, that-
pissed? Was he drunk
Yeah,
when you told him?
His mood went from here to here. He
You
was
hate-
on top of the world with everything, and then it was just like, all right, I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
And the
Feel you.
fact that 2 picks, a first rounder, second rounder, I thought it was going to be way more than that.
Yeah, it's because they had
It's the money.
they had to give him a shit ton of new money, like almost 30. Was it 28 mil a year?
You got to pay him quarterback money, bro.
Right.
Yeah, he's
So-
like the 10th highest paid quarterback as a wide receiver.
Right. And they don't. Carr's not signed long term. Like he's set to hit free agency.
Nah, they're looking to win right now. They have a small window. They have a 3-year window.
Imagine
Right.
they didn't have like 3 players get arrested last year. They might be ready to go.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you come from Carteret.
And hit up LA or no, not LA, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Whatever, same shit.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here on episode 3 of the Jets Group Chat Pod. Like I said, find us on Spotify, Apple Pods on YouTube. Like, subscribe, leave us some comments, let you know what you thought.
Noon, hit me up.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the alcohol. I should say, and I deleted the comment because we looked like jerk offs, but I posted the video clip last week of us holding up our beverages, and in the caption on the Jets Group Chat Pod Insta, when I tagged High Noon and Miller Lite, I said, "Is anybody looking to be the official beer sponsor of the Jets Group Chat Pod?" And High Noon responded and said, "We're not a beer company." And I'm like, I should have phrased this as being the official alcohol
Sponsor or just official sponsor, but they did hit us back on Twitter and they gave us we're thinking about it.
They gave us a glimmer of hope on the Twitter space, so we'll hold that hope.
I'll take it from here, boys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we're gonna leave all the alcohol sponsorships to you, Spiga. But thank you guys for listening. You two fucks, thank you for hopping on. Dennis, I knew you had to move heaven and earth to get here tonight. You had to fucking get on a jet ski or some shit. So
That's how I ended up here on the beach.
yeah, appreciate you boys being here. Appreciate you all for listening, and we'll be back with you next week.
All right, boys. Take care. Take flight, baby.